Hello everyone and welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. Today I'm going to make the impossible card. Now I've seen quite a few of these on Pinterest and on the demonstrator website, and I've watched quite a few videos about them, and it's actually not impossible at all. Once you've got your templates cut, it's perfectly easy. I watched Jan B make her beautiful card, and hers was mainly in centimetres, and I don't work in centimetres at all. I like to work in inches. I watched Griffith make her card and I'm using her measurements mainly. So here's the card I made. And I think why people think it's impossible is because you can't really work out how the card is made. It's more of an illusion than anything. Now, the nice thing about this is you can make 4 cards from one piece of 11 by 8¼ inch cardstock. So it's not too bad economically wise, and you can make a very pretty card. Now mine, I haven't yet put a sentiment on. I made 2 sentiments and I couldn't work out whether I wanted this one or I wanted this one, whether I wanted it in the middle, whether I wanted it at the side. So I just decided not to put my sentiments on at all. But this is the card we're going to make. The only problem I had with it was I originally cut my layering cards the wrong way. So underneath you'll see we have an extra layer of paper and card which won't be on my second card. But there's nothing wrong with it, looks very pretty. What I do like about this card is it folds flat to go into an ordinary size envelope, and once it's folded it's not very thick, so I think it would be regular postage. Let me just put that one to one side and show you the one that we're going to make today. I'm going to make a different colour and I've chosen the Berry Burst, and I've cut my card and I've actually drawn on here so that you can see what I'm talking about while I'm demonstrating. My card is 5½ by 4¼ and you need to score and cut this on the trimmer. So I've got my trimmer out and you need to score the card on the 4¼ inch side, and we're going to do it at 2 1/8. So here's the 2, the 1/8. I'll move my blade out of the way and I'm going to score. And then you can just see the score mark. That's the line we're going to use for our cutting. So across the top you'll see I need 2 3/4 inch cut, but only down to the score line. So 2 3/4. I like to move my little trimmer blade up to the 2 3/4 score and go up. Now the next cuts are at the bottom, and I've decided to cut mine at 1 inch, but it really doesn't matter how wide you cut these, you just cut your template accordingly. But I'm going to cut it at 1, so put it at the score. There's 1, and I'm going to turn it round just because I find it easier to work on the right hand side of my cutter. Go to the score line, cut down, and that's it. That's all the cutting and scoring for the main card. Now, let's pop that one there. What you need to do is to fold the flaps, and I want to have my flaps so that I've got the L shape at the front on the left hand side. And then all I did was I folded, I maybe did that too quickly, let me try again. So I folded the right hand side under on the score line. You can press it down with your bone folder, and then this little flap in the middle I just folded over with the bone folder again. So you have a shape that looks like an L and a 7. And don't worry that this doesn't seem very stable yet. We're going to put some little support struts over. So that's your card made. Now the next thing to make are your templates. You're going to need 2 templates, and the first one goes on this L shape here, and I'm going to do a layer of card and then a layer of DSP. You certainly don't have to. You can just do one layer and make the bigger template. That's perfectly fine. Now, the bigger template, or the bottom layer, is going to be 2 5/8 by 4 1/8. So here's my piece of card, 2 5/8 by 4 1/8. You score using your trimmer or your scoreboard, whatever you want to do, at 7/8 all the way down on the short side. On the long side, you need to score at 2 inches. And I measured it up from the bottom. So 7/8, score down from the bottom up 2 inches, score across. And you can see the orange lines are showing you the score lines. Now this corner we don't need. So here I've coloured it in blue here. What you need to do is just cut it off. So I got my scissors and I just cut along the 2 score lines, and you get left with this L shape. You see where the cut off piece is? And then you're going to need to cut 2 of those. I only cut 1 of them, and what I did was I just traced the card on another piece of paper. So I would get another piece of cardstock. I didn't do 2 lots of measuring. I just drew round it and cut out it again. So once you've got your template for the outer layer, then you need to make your smaller template, and it's the same process. You have a piece of card 2 1/2 by 4. You're going to score at the left hand side at 3/4 of an inch and up from the bottom at 1 7/8. So you will end up with a piece that looks like this. Note where the score line is, cut the top right corner out, and you will get your layer that looks like this. There's the top corner cut out, and then these 2 will just layer on top of each other, leaving just a tiny little gap. And as I said earlier, if you don't want to do the top layer, just make this bottom layer, that's fine. The next thing you need to do is to cut out 2 of the template shapes in your layering card and 2 in your DSP, if that's the way you're going to do it. I cut out 2 in black of my larger ones and 2 in one of the new DSPs for my smaller ones. Now this DSP, it's beautiful. It comes as a double pack and it's almost more like a card than a paper. Let me just find this one. So this was this sheet, and on the back it has this beautiful writing, and I've used this as backing on a couple of cards already. And this is in the Share What You Love suite. Okay. So all I'm going to do is to attach the DSP. I'm going to use my fast fuse, which is running out. Pop it on top of the black, so it just has a little tiny border all the way around. And then attach it onto the card itself. And really, once you've got this far, you've done all the difficult pieces. There's nothing else that's tricky to do at all. And once you've got the templates made, you can use them again and again and again. Okay, so here's my other layer. Put it onto the backing card. A lot of the cards that I've seen, they do only have 1 layer. A couple have a layer of DSP and a layer of card, but the majority of them don't. Okay, for this little stand-up piece, I'm going to cut 2 pieces of card. Let me just move those so you can see the measurements. You need 2 pieces at 2 by 3 3/8 in whatever colour you choose. And because my backing colour on here was black, I've cut them out in black. And then I've put down to cut 2 pieces at 1 7/8 by 3 1/4 in white. But I decided to use cream after I'd written all this out. I changed my mind to use cream. Doesn't really matter which colour you use, whatever works for you. So I'm just going to attach this. Oh, I think it's run out. Oh, no, a little bit left. I'm going to attach this to the black. And I've made one for the front and one for the back, just because I want to use the back to write my greeting on, my little message. And I wanted the back to look just as pretty as the front. So there's one for the back. Get the same for the front. There we go. Oops. Oh. Fast fuse sticks really quickly. You can't move it. Once it's taped on, it's really difficult to move. I was lucky, I've just saved it there. Okay. So one for the front. And as you can see from my other card, I cut out some flowers, and that's from this DSP as well. And I cut out the pearlized flowers. And I only cut out 3, and so I've done exactly the same for this. And I used my Jar of Love framelets from here. I'll pop it back now, just to cut out a few little leaves. I'm glad that this set is staying. So a lot of my favourite sets have gone, but this set's staying, and I use this set a lot. Now, I'm not quite sure where I want these leaves to be, so I'm just going to place them, find my 3 flowers. I'm not going to glue anything down yet until I know where I want things. I don't want anything to be above the top of the card, because otherwise it won't fit in the envelope. So I've just popped that down, the little flap, I've popped it down so that you can see whereabouts the envelope will be and how much space you've got. Okay. Right, I'm going to find my fast fuse. I'm going to put a little bit on the back of here. What I could have done is use the adhesive strips and cut this out using the adhesive strips. That would have made it quite easy. It would have made it like a little sticker, and that would have made it easier to stick on. But never mind. I'm going to put one just along the bottom there, trim a little bit of the stalk off, and I'm going to put my first 2 flowers on. I'm just putting my first 2 on with fast fuse, and then my 3rd one I think I'll put on a dimension, little dimensional, to make it stick out a bit. A little bit more fast fuse on this one. Oops. Off to the side a little bit. There we are. And then let me see, let's find a dimensional to put on the back. And my pokey tool, stick one there, just to give it a little bit of height. And I think I need just another little leaf there, so find the one that I've cut. I won't need much of the stalk. A little bit of glue. Up. There, that's better. Okay, and as you can see on this one, I used the butterfly thinlets, the ones that go with the watercolour wings, this little set. I didn't buy this until I knew it was going to retire. It's typical of me, but I suddenly thought that it might be one that I used a lot. So I was able to buy the 2 framelets that go with it too. I have the other set of framelets for the different butterflies, but I just decided I wanted these because this framelet cuts out this big butterfly here, and I suddenly like butterflies. So there you go. Wait until it retires, Diane. Just take this out. Okay, and I just folded the wings up a little bit, put a little bit of fast fuse on the back. You could use glue dots, you could use your Tombow, whatever works for you. Okay, now let's get rid of these little pieces. Okay, so that's the front nearly finished. We do need to put these little strips on just to keep the card from bending, and I have those ready here. These are the little pieces of card that were 1 inch by 4 inch, and a little bit of matching DSP. That's 3/4 of an inch by 3 3/4 of an inch. So we'll just glue those on. I love this whole suite of paper. I didn't think I was going to, and when I saw it on stage, I thought, yeah, it's okay. But once I started using it, I absolutely love it. I love that it's so thick. Okay, now I'm going to put a tiny little bit fast fuse on that side and a little bit on this side. And then just measure where I want it to be. Make sure it's straight and line it up on my grid paper. There we go. And I'm going to do the same on the back. So, pop this under there. So just a little bit at this side. A little bit, I can go a little bit wider at this side. My card straight so that I can line it up on the grid paper, and just follow my line here so I know I've got it fairly central. There we go. Okay. Oops. Now I just have to move that little flower a bit because it's, oh no, it's fine. Okay, so now a sentiment. I do have these ones that I made for the other card. Still not sure what I want. Actually, that looks quite pretty. It might be better with the starburst, the berry burst colour. What I started to do on this sentiment was I used the Eastern Beauty little pieces that said "a note for you," and this stamp, when I took it out, it was actually too big for my circle because I'd cut out a 1 1/4 inch circle for here, and then a 1 1/2 inch, and then a 1 3/4 inch. But I liked the size of the 1 1/2 inch. But of course, this little sentiment is too big. So what I did when I put it on the block was I just put it on, and I sort of scrunched it up a little bit, squooshed it up a bit there and up a bit there until it looked like it might fit on the 1 1/2, inked it up and stamped it, and that means that I could cut it out on the 1 1/2. And I could do the backing in the 1 3/4. I'll find a little bit more of my berry burst. See if I like that. But you could use your stitched framelets or your punches or even your banner punch to make yours, whatever you want. Now I like it in that colour, but I'm not quite sure what I would put on there. I'd have to cut out another flower. So I think I'm going to, no, I think I'm going to go back to this one. Yeah, I think that's the one I'd go with. So there you go, easy instructions on how to make the impossible card, which as you can see isn't impossible at all. It's a beautiful card, really quick and easy to make, and once you've got those templates, you're away. You don't need to make them anymore, you just draw around them and use them again and again. Well, thank you very much for joining me. I won't be putting a video on over the weekend because my husband has decided we're going away in the RV, but I will try and make a video on Monday for everybody. Thanks again. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.